Parisian existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre believed that freedom was a burden that humans are doomed with, because when we realize that we have full ownership and control over our lives, we begin to feel an immense level of anxiety, because we can quite literally go in any direction we choose, but we can't go in all directions. And this is a feeling that I've felt before, and I'm sure all of you have as well, especially when you're young. You feel that you can do anything you want with your life, except that feeling of freedom only makes you feel trapped, because while you can do anything, you can't do everything. I mean, we've all heard the phrase, jack of all trades, but master of none, and while there is some truth to that, today I wanted to share another philosophy which believes in the exact opposite, and believe that we all have the ability to pursue multiple interests and excel in 2, 3, or even 4 different disciplines. And that philosophy is the philosophy of the Renaissance, which produced some of the most exceptional human beings of all time who chose to excel in multiple different disciplines. Take one of the most famous Renaissance men, Michelangelo, who is of course most famous for the statue of David and the Sistine Chapel, but he was also one of his generation's best poets and architects, while also working as an engineer and scientist as well, as he conducted hundreds of autopsies, leading to significant findings in the human body, with him being the first person in human history to discover a very specific vein, which only happens when the arm is on a very specific angle. And he wasn't the only Renaissance man to succeed in multiple disciplines, as there is also Leonardo Da Vinci, who was viewed as his generation's best artist, best engineer, one of the best scientists, if not the best, while also coming up with the first model for a helicopter, the first model for a machine gun, and the first model for a tank, not to mention painting the Mona Lisa, Salvator Mundi, and The Last Supper. And so I think it's fair to say that they were both men of multiple interests, and somehow managed to become proficient in most, if not all of them. And so what is it about the Renaissance period that allowed so many people to follow their interests and actually live a life where they accomplished most of what they wanted to do? And why is it that today, and the time of Sartre, people felt that they couldn't manage multiple tasks and were doomed with the burden of having to only do 1 or 2? I think the answer lies in what the Renaissance period was founded on, and the major philosophy that they chose to live by. And so in this video, you can expect to learn how to not just manage multiple interests, but excel in all of them, and how you can adapt the Renaissance man's strategy to modern life. Starting with 1, how to be a jack of all trades and a master of all of them. In order to fully understand how to become proficient in all of our interests, we have to understand what was at the root of the Renaissance philosophy, as the Renaissance was founded on the idea of everything in life serving a higher purpose or a higher good, as they believe that everyone is born with a specific purpose or a specific reason to be on this planet, and that all of their interests actually align to this purpose if they look close enough. An example would be Michelangelo, believing his purpose was to understand the human form better than anyone that has ever lived before, and to allow the world to see what a human truly is, and why it is that we exist on this planet, which is why he did scientific autopsies, sculpted some of the most beautiful sculptures of the human form, and wrote poetry, because he saw poetry as a way to understand the spiritual element of the human mind, an element that we cannot see through mere scientific experiments or mere sculptures, but an element that we all know exists because we have all felt moved or captivated by a movie or a song or a piece of art, and sometimes without even knowing why. And so Michelangelo believed that that was due to a spiritual side that can't be understood by mere physics alone, so while a scientist and architect writing poetry might seem random, when you understand the life purpose, it makes a lot of sense. sense. And so to bring this back to you, if you analyze all your interests deep enough, I mean really analyze deeply for a few days or even weeks, you may find that they connect and align in ways that you may not have thought of before. But even after we figure out how it all connects and what our true purpose may be, it still leads us to how we can actually find the time to pursue multiple interests and not get overwhelmed, which leads us to point number 2, which is how to adapt the Renaissance man strategy to modern life. So we all have either school or a job that we have to do in our lives, and we can feel that it's taking up so much time that we don't possibly have the time outside of that to work on our other interests. But there is a clear way that we can take the main idea of the Renaissance philosophy and apply it to modern life, and that's by adopting their approach to following curiosity and not following a strict schedule. And so an easy way to create the time and energy to pursue the extra interest that it is that you want to pursue, you can write down the 2 or 3 extra interests that you have, and then write down a goal, a task, or an objective that you want to achieve within that interest. And so if your interests are writing, carpentry, and long-distance running, you can write down that you want to write a novel, build a beautiful door, and run your first marathon. But you want to avoid writing specific hours or strict scheduling for each day, but rather having the long-term plan and end goal. And so the discipline comes in by not following an amount of hours, but by ticking off the major tasks, because it's not going to be possible outside of school or work to actively pursue an extra 3 interests every single day. You're just going to end up dying of exhaustion, and then you're just going to give up on ever trying again. But it is possible to stretch those interests out over a year and look at 3 different seasons where you can focus on each one. And that's what Michelangelo would have done, or Leonardo Da Vinci would have done, and so you can just do the exact same. Let's say from mid-January to mid-March, you were really focused on building your door, and you spend 2 hours before work when you have your highest amount of energy building that door. And then when you get home and you're tired, you can spend about 30 minutes to an hour reading a book that helps you for later in the year when you want to focus on writing, and then you can also go on a 30-minute 5-kilometer job. And so now it's not even 6 p.m. and you get to eat dinner, relax, and take care of the family or friends or whatever else that you have going on. And then when you finally finish building that door in mid-March, you get to take it easy for a month or 2. And then once it hits May, you can start focusing on your book for the next 4 months. And so you can spend 2 hours a day before work to write the book, and then when you come home, you get to go on a 10-kilometer run for an hour. And then once that year reaches mid-August and the season of writing the book is done, you have now made a door and written a novel, all while taking care of your job, your friends, and family. And then now you get to get up early in the morning and run for nearly 2 hours before work as your stamina increases to focus on your upcoming marathon. And then by late November, you can end up running your first marathon and then take December off to just relax with friends and family. And so as you can see that by dividing your time into seasons and following your curiosity and passions, in 1 year you could manage to run a marathon, build a door, and write a novel, all while staying focused at your job, spending time with friends and family, and even taking 3 months off from seriously engaging in those extra interests. And so as you can see, by simply taking the Renaissance man philosophy and looking at the seasons of the year, as opposed to looking at a daily time blocking schedule for all of your interests, you'll be able to get much more done and to a much higher level. Because 4 months of serious, focused work on one passion is going to be so much better than trying to juggle all of your extra interests every single day for the entire year on top of your work, your family, and your life commitments that are going to come up. But what are your thoughts on the Renaissance philosophy? Let me know down below. And what are your thoughts on the idea of taking time blocking and scheduling it out over a year into different seasons, as opposed to trying to juggle all of it every single day for an entire year? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and I hope you guys were able to get some benefit from today's video. And if you did like the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, take care.